My name is Perry and you're watching Ocean Capable Small Sailboat. This is a Scow Bow Mini-Cruiser sailboat that I'm building. Basically, my mission here is to build a strong, trailerable, 14-foot sailboat that's watertight and custom built to cross oceans. It features a cabin I can sleep in and even operate the boat from while staying dry and out of the elements. She'll sail anywhere the larger boats can, but at a fraction of the operating, storage, and maintenance costs. Please subscribe and follow along as I work towards launching her. Hey everyone, it is mid-February 2023 in San Diego, California, and I'll give you a look at what I got done since the last video. You can see I epoxied in just the 4 centimeters, less than 2 inches of edge for the cabin sole there, and I put in these vertical support pieces just to help hold it up. That's the starboard side. I can show you. It's the same deal on the port side over here. Next, I need to add some panels right here between frame C4.5 and C5, and right in this area as well, so that I have more separated storage here. I also drilled a little hole here to allow wires from the battery to pass through into this compartment and then up onto the main bulkhead. Most of the electrical equipment will be right here. Another thing I need to think about before the sides go on is the ventilation system. I'm going to have an exhaust ventilation up in the bow and an intake ventilation on the main bulkhead. Now, the reason I want exhaust up on the bow, that may sound kind of backwards, but you think of what's the wettest part on a boat? Well, that's the bow. So you don't really want an intake scoop there. And I don't have a big forward hatch on this boat that I open up to take insulation through the bow and out through the stern, so it doesn't matter to me which side has intake or exhaust. So I'll have exhaust here, which means a cowl up on the deck that's facing downwind so that it's providing suction. And then what I'll basically do is I think the cowl will be about here, and then I thought about using PVC foam core and fiberglass to make the channels, but when I thought about it, I think it makes sense to use 2-inch PVC piping. It'll be cheaper and a lot less hassle, so why not? So if I have a pipe coming here from that cowl, just thinking it out, I'll need an elbow fitting here. One more elbow fitting here. T-fitting here. And then a drain to take water out of the system. Another elbow fitting. And then right here, I'll construct a little box. And then we'll connect into the box. And on the other side of this box, I'll have a mesh vent like this. This will go in the cabin over here. So if any water happens to drip into the system, it'll trickle down this pipe down here and then out the side of the hull here. And this exit will be above the water line. I'm not going to have any holes in the boat that are below the water line. And the nice thing up in the bow is that all that ugly PVC piping will get hidden. And so that all we're going to see is this pretty little vent cover right here. And then for the main bulkhead, for the ventilation in the main bulkhead, I'll have another vent cover right here. And this one I will make with PVC foam core and fiberglass because it's basically going to be a long box coming up, and we'll have a ventilation cowl up here on the deck as intake. And then the cool thing on this one is that the little box for catching water that comes in can be right here, and the drain can go right through here onto the aft deck, and it can just trickle off. So this is the other one that it'd probably be prudent to make before I put the sides on, because once the sides go on this boat, it's going to be much more difficult to do projects like this. So I took some measurements and took a moment to sketch up this main bulkhead ventilation. So this will be the intake ventilation. It's basically a box that goes on the main bulkhead. 51 centimeters long, so about 20 inches. 19 centimeters wide, that's only 7.5 inches. So it won't take up too much space in the cabin. 5 centimeters deep, so 2 inches deep. And so basically these channels are 2-inch channels, 2-inch by 2-inch. And there'll be a cowl up on deck here, and wind and spray and might enter here, but the spray gets caught in here and comes out this little drain onto the aft deck, and the air keeps flowing in and then through this vent cover like this. And that's basically it. That keeps any rainwater or seawater from coming into the cabin. And even if we become inverted, the water level should be about here. It would have to come all the way to here in order for it to begin entering the cabin. Actually, I guess it would have to come up to the level of this vent, but should remain more like here. And in any case, if we're inverted, it should only be for a few seconds. Okay, I've got all my foam and fiberglass ready. This is a list of everything I have to do, and I'm going to divide and conquer and do half tonight and the other half tomorrow. Everything is going to get 2 layers of 6-ounce cloth on each side, except for these are made from scraps that already have a layer of 6-ounce on each side, so they only need 1 layer added. Don't skip, this will only take 20 seconds. I just wanted to show you this run of t-shirts I designed. Here's the front and the back, and here's a few different colors you can get. If you want to support the channel and you like the look of it, please buy one. The link is down in the description. Thank you. Okay, last night I successfully did half of the fiberglassing. Nice and strong. 2 layers on here. Now I got to put a new plastic over the table and do the second half. So here's the foam pieces I need to do tonight. And then I'm also going to put an extra big square of 6-ounce cloth over here where this ventilation box is going to mount. And then another big one back here on the main bulkhead that this whole ventilation box will mount on. And I realized last night before I started fiberglassing that I actually can't put this thing on yet until the deck goes on, because I want this joint to be very strongly fiberglassed all the way across without any interruptions. And if I put that box on now, I'm not really going to be able to fiberglass it to the main bulkhead. So basically I'm just going to make the parts of the box and maybe drill the hole for the drain hole, but I'll wait to attach it until the deck's on. Okay, I've just finished these pieces. They're under some pressure curing. And I also did the base of the ventilation box on C2. And then back here on the main bulkhead, C5, I did the base of that ventilation box too with just an extra layer of 6-ounce cloth. Hey guys, well, I thought I should address why I think the classic Dorade boxes are leaky trash. Now, I've really never liked these things. The traditional design is a very short pipe coming out of the cabin top into a Dorade box. And then the Dorade box has another small pipe slightly offset coming down from the top of the box, and then a ventilation cowl. Now this will keep out rainwater in a very light to a light medium rain, but for anything else, it's just kind of trash. I mean, if you have a mist blowing in the wind, it's gonna quickly go through and you haven't got enough distance apart there, so it's just gonna blow through that tube and you get dripping into the cabin. Or if you get anything more than just a kind of light medium rain, you get a hard rain with strong winds, it's flying in there, splashing around in the box, and then it's dripping into the cabin, onto your bunk. You got a miserable night. Or worse, you've left your boat for a while and you start getting the mildew and all that. What's even worse is that if you plan on going out in the ocean and you get caught in a strong system and let's say you get knocked down, well, as soon as that box goes below the water line, it's just basically an open hole in your boat that seawater is going to gush through. You go totally inverted, you're very quickly taking a large volume of water in through that hole. You take a lot of water over the deck when you're sailing upright, as happens a lot. It splashes around in that box and comes right in. So why they designed it like this, I'll never understand, because if you can just simply have that intake pipe come down a bit further and you put a drain there and then loop back up and then back it down again to the vent coming into the cabin to where it's below the water line, no matter which way the boat is turned, upside down, on its side, whatever, you can pretty much eliminate all of that trouble with the water. Any spray from rain or seawater splashing will collect down in that bottom of the U and drain out. And then you're having that intake air travel so far that it can't really carry water up and around and into the cabin, or at least far less than with the traditional Dorade box. Now, of course, this isn't my original idea. Other boat builders have corrected this simple and annoying problem, and Sven Jurven has a lot of good pages on his website about how he's tackled it. And I'm just kind of doing the same. My whole thing is just to get that hole where the air is coming into the cabin so that it's below where the water line will be if the boat is inverted or if the boat is on its side. And in that way, you should eliminate any chance that water is going to be free flowing from the intake hole on the deck into where the air is coming into the cabin. All right, now we got a good strong foundation to put that ventilation box on. And the same deal for the main bulkhead. Time to cut out all these small pieces for the ventilation system. I'll use a little editing magic for that. Now it's time to drill the hole for the ventilation box drain. I use hot glue to hold these pieces to the main bulkhead. I make sure to leave about a millimeter gap so that later when I epoxy them on with fillets, the epoxy can also fill the gap for a stronger attachment. All right, these are the port and starboard compartment panels I talked about in the beginning of the video that go between frames 4.5 and frame 5. So this one is going to go right down here under this beam. And now I've got them shaped so that they fit perfectly in there. And then I got the hole to continue the cable from the battery. And then it'll come up here to electrical components. So now I just need to install that on the starboard and port sides with thickened epoxy. That's pretty straightforward, so I don't plan on showing it. But I will show you epoxying on these ventilation box pieces. Oh, and the other thing I got to do during this session is to epoxy together this little box that'll go on frame C2 here, part of ventilation. And what I've done is tape it together partially. And so I'll just loosen this, put the epoxy in there and all around, and then tape it all together and let that cure. And here you can see where I'll be attaching these pieces to make the ventilation channels. And these two make up the sides of the box. Now I'm going to slightly round the edges of the forward ventilation box before mounting it in the bow. I tape on some thin wood so I can keep a small gap between frame C2 and the ventilation box. And here's the finished job, all ready for a PVC pipe to be attached.
Sailboat, Sailboat.
Okay, check it out. I got my next 5 big steps I need to get accomplished. One is finishing up the forward ventilation setup, which will be the 2-inch pipes and the U-bend and all that. I won't fully install it, but I'll get everything prepared for when it can be installed later on. Number 2 is make a template of the side of the boat, the next huge panel that needs to go on. Number 3, make a cockpit locker template, because I need to put some of those pieces in before the starboard side goes on. Number 4, frame C1 installed up here in the bow on the starboard and port side. And number 5, install the port side of the boat. And then later on, of course, we'll get the starboard side, but one thing at a time. Big shout out, thank you to my man in Kansas City, Paul, who got me 2 more stainless handlebars. I'm curious to hear in the comments where you guys think I should mount these things. I have a couple ideas, but I'd like to hear your opinion. And a very big thank you to my friend Shane, the airline pilot, who sent me 2 100-watt solar panels. What a huge gift. Thank you very much, Shane. Remember that there's these t-shirts available if you're interested. There's other links to donate like PayPal, Patreon, the Amazon wish list as some of these guys have. And if you don't want to do that, at least please leave a comment, like the video, make sure you're subscribed. And that's it, guys. I will see you in the next one.
$4 make all preparations for getting underway.
Hey, what's your name, buddy? Home.
I'm gonna get back to your station, or I'll have you shot from in the air.
Well, shoot something!